What I'm going to talk about now is sustainable purchasing in general. And so we'll talk about what it is, what does that term mean, why do it, and what are some of the strategies that are out there that can make it easier. And sustainable purchasing, there's a lot of terms out there that you might hear in this space, and I'll try to put them all in context for you. So you might hear environmentally preferable purchasing. That takes into consideration the environmental attributes. And in fact, as we were talking about earlier before the presentation, there's been kind of a growth and an evolution of how green purchasing has been done. Most original green purchasing was done focusing on recycled content. So it was something that was easily verified, and those buy recycled policies came out of a concern that we're starting to recycle or collect all these materials from businesses and residents, and it was piling up. Hey, we want to make sure that it actually gets made into something. And the common phrase was, you're not recycling unless you're buying recycled products. So that closed the loop on that to make sure that we had a system that was utilizing the materials that were being collected. And that's still part of a green purchasing program or environmentally preferable products. Sustainable purchasing goes a little bit farther. It ties in with what jurisdictions are doing in terms of adopting sustainability policies and plans. And it looks not only at the environmental component, but it may look at the local component or the economic development issue. It may also look at social responsibility, particularly if products are made overseas. We want to make sure that people were respected, the products are fairly traded. So it can be a broader thing, not to get you scared about like, oh my God, what do I need to be looking at with this stuff? But you know, it's important to note that there can be a breadth of different criteria, and there are eco-labels that are developed that will take some of those things into consideration. But some of those other social and economic criteria are just starting to emerge. What would make a product or service unsustainable? So here's my list. Hazardous ingredients. Anything that's really toxic. Poor energy, fuel, or water efficiency. So we have here, so I'll show you what I have in my, my list here. So this is those air dusters. We have incandescent light bulbs, but then also we have the issue with the compact fluorescent light bulbs, so that's an efficiency issue. You have also the bottled water, which is expensive to transport and has pollution issues associated with that. So wasteful, generally rapidly disposable is something that I call it. Something that you just use and throw away, use and throw away. And that can be, batteries, for example. And then unsustainable production. This gets a little bit harder to look at, but how was this thing produced? Was it made in a forest where they just clear-cut the forest? Did it come from a very far way? So you have transportation impacts and then the disposal impacts, like the mercury at the end of the life that could end up, particularly in something like a compact fluorescent, where it's easily breakable, can break in somebody's home and expose people to mercury. So sustainable procurement is important and because it helps government agencies and businesses to lead by example. And government agencies can get some good experience, and if they're also trying to promote sustainability within the community, it really helps if they're doing it, and then they can get experience. So this worked, this didn't work. They can identify the vendors for other people and help to make it work more broadly in the community. It can be a proving ground for sustainable products. So the government agencies can try out remanufactured toner cartridges, try out the LED light bulbs, figure out what works and doesn't work, figure out how to communicate to the community, okay, this is how you make it work. And so it's a very important role that the government can play. Strengthening the markets. The more that we buy these things, it drives the price down so we can make the products more cost-effective overall. also sends important signals to the manufacturers and helps to transform the marketplace. If everybody's starting to buy green cleaners, the industry will start to invest in those technologies. And this happened over a decade ago with recycled paper. A whole lot of government agencies, the federal government, states and local governments got together and all committed to start buying recycled paper. And now you can find it in virtually every office supply store out there. And that's because the industry got the message that people want to buy these products, and they started producing them. And then it cleans up the supply chain. So if you're asking your vendors to be LEED certified or to give them products that have clean production, then they're going to go to their suppliers and say, hey, we need that. And then it just has this rippling effect overall. So we now know what an unsustainable product is. What makes something sustainable? Okay, here's my list. Made with recycled content. We're going to have to make this into a game show. Highly energy efficient. Designed to be long-lasting. There's yours. Recyclable or compostable, and those need to be recyclable and compostable in your program. So it's not good enough that it's theoretical, as some company says, oh, styrofoam is recyclable. If it's not accepted in your program, then it's not recyclable. Compostable is even more challenging, but there are there's a growth of commercial composting programs and certifications that can make sure that products do meet those standards. Made from renewable resources. So instead of being derived from petroleum, a product can be printing ink, or another product can be derived from plant-based material. So you're not using up a non-renewable resource. Less toxic than conventional goods, and that should be certified, and it's by product category, and we'll talk about that. You see that mostly with things like the spray paints, cleaning products, anything that has traditionally has a toxic material, or even with lighting, so less toxic. It can have either less mercury or it can have no mercury, no lead, those types of things. Manufactured locally, manufactured responsibly, fairly traded, and there's some certifications for fair trade, coffee, and other types of things that might be coming from far away, and you want to make sure that people are treated well. And then safely managed at the end of its life. So you want to make sure that there's a closed-loop system, and again, if you have a product that has other benefits, that it isn't just creating a toxic issue at the end of its life. Okay, so environmentally preferable. What are environmentally preferable goods and services? This is when you do the comparison. They're goods and services that when you compare it to something else, it has environmental benefits. And so you really are taking two products and comparing them to each other. I need to actually get the LED light bulb into this because I have the incandescent. So you can look and make a comparison on certain types of attributes. You can look at, here's the two products, one in the aerosol container and one in a regular spray pump, one that would be non-toxic or less toxic than the other ones. And so you really are looking at those products sort of side by side. And it may mean that we're not going to get perfect when we're buying these products. We're trying to move in the direction of replacing things that we know are very toxic or very inefficient with things that are more efficient. And we keep just moving along as we do that. So why buy green products? We want to maybe reduce air and water pollution, meet our climate protection goals, zero waste goals. So your communities may have policies that say, we want to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions. We want to make sure that we're moving towards zero waste. And so what you can do is make sure that you're buying products that help to meet those goals. Minimize toxic chemical releases and exposure, particularly to workers in your facilities, or if you have facilities where children are in them, because children are less able to metabolize the toxic materials in cleaning products and all types of things. And so you want to make sure you're protecting your workers at the same time it's protecting the environment, and if things are being flushed down the drain, also protecting the waterways and such. Creating green jobs, so you may be able to promote green job production, say with the purchase of remanufactured toner cartridges. That's something that can be made here in the region and doesn't have to be something that's shipped somewhere else or from somewhere else. Earning green building credits. Philip talked with you about LEED. You can get your building certified if you buy green products. And ultimately saving money.